50 years ago today, news from Moscow swept around the world. The Soviet Union had launched a man into space and brought him safely home. The first spaceflight by cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin lasted just 108 minutes, but its impact on space exploration will never be forgotten. Moscow correspondent Norman Hammond reports.
50 years ago, on the Kazakh steppe, Yuri Gagarin crawled into a capsule on top of a rocket and etched his name in history. The Soviet cosmonaut blasted into space, the first human to leave our atmosphere and orbit the Earth. Those who trained with him are still in awe. Boris Volunov was one of the original cosmonauts selected with Gagarin.
How can one not be proud of him when the whole of humanity was proud of him? American astronauts have repeatedly stated that it was Yuri Gagarin who called them to space.
Gagarin's breakthrough flight came during the height of the Cold War, in the middle of the furious space race between the Soviet Union and the U.S. As news spread, there were wild celebrations all over the USSR.
The day of Gagarin's flight, that is probably one of the happiest days of my life, because of the accumulation of happiness that gripped you.
Almost instantly, Yuri Gagarin became a national hero, his flight a symbol of Soviet achievement. Newspapers called it a great victory for our regime, our science, our technology, our courage.
Looking back, the flight is often seen as the peak for the Soviets in space. Gagarin himself was killed in a flight training accident only 7 years later. Hopes that a Russian would reach the moon were never realized. And even though Russian rockets continue to carry people into space, for many, the magic is gone.
There are so many cosmonauts now that one doesn't remember them all.
A week before this anniversary, a rocket blasted off from Kazakhstan, carrying an American and 2 Russians to the International Space Station. Just the latest to follow in the footsteps of Yuri Gagarin half a century later. Norman Hermont, ABC News, Moscow.